Hey, VBL fans, I'm Erin Summers. We are about to start our last podcast of the season. We have somebody special on tap for tonight's podcast. It's Andrew Czech. He played for the Stanton Braves in 2019. And since we've been going back on all of our 2019 games this season, we thought we should talk to him and see what he's been up to and kind of go back through his time with the Valley League. So, Andrew, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
So just catch me up. Where are you calling in from right now? And what have you been up to this summer?
I'm calling in from home. So I'm at home with my family in Reminderville, Ohio. And this summer I've been pretty much just rehabbing, working out a lot, getting back into hitting and lifting, and then working part-time.
What are you doing as far as work goes?
I'm helping out a distributor and like a warehouse job right now at nights. It's like 4 times a week, so it's not bad. And plus, it's nice too because I'm late. I stay up late a lot, so it's perfect for me. And it's like kind of close to school, so whenever I kind of go up there, I'll get a workout in with like the feel with some of the guys that stayed back, and then just go right to work. So it's kind of like a whole trip, but it's only like 40 minutes away from me, so it's not too bad. But it's great. I like it.
You mentioned that you've been able to get back to school and get out on the baseball field a little bit. How much baseball have you been able to play over the past few months?
It's been more like kind of like a rehab session, or like how like the bubble, those guys in the MLB are doing their like own like private workouts where they face guys out there live. We have a couple pitchers that wanted to throw a couple times, so I've been going up there to see get live at bats and to obviously hit and whatnot because I missed it for 5-6 months that I was out with my injury, and just been good getting back into the swing of things, and trying to get a feel for how everything's going to pan out with what I have to do and wearing the brace and whatnot. So
You mentioned the injury a couple times. You told me before we went on air, but what was the injury? Kind of what happened with that?
So we played at a doubleheader at home in the fall for a breast cancer awareness kind of fundraiser. And I ended up unfortunately tearing my ACL in my right knee and had an ACL reconstruction. Basically, it was a total knee reconstruction surgery later in the month in October. And then that went well. The procedure went awesome. And then we decided to do a meniscus repair on my left knee that I had for about a year, but was unaware of it. So it kind of worked out because I was already out. So I got like the double-edged sword and got both fixed. And then especially with the virus and what have you, it kind of helped some more with the rehab process because I was going to try to rush and go back out and play. So now I'm like actually like 100% comfortable and confident in returning with that series of an injury.
You have 2 new knees and you have another baseball season ahead of you. What are you looking forward to about your last year at Walsh?
I'm actually just looking forward to competing again. I'm a very competitive person and I work extremely hard, and just going back to working and putting in the time and effort that I had before that's helped me get to thus far in my life, especially athletically. I'm just excited to compete with the guys and just go out and with one last year and try to leave my legacy and impact on the university and the guys that I've met there, and just bring something to North Canton and hopefully win. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully we're going to win. So
in 2019, after that season, you won 9 different awards while playing that year. You batted .414, which is absolutely incredible for the entire 2019 season. 17 home runs, 63 RBIs, 19 doubles. You only struck out 13 times. I mean, that stat line, it's incredible. How are you able to have so much success?
I would just have to say it's from the coaches. Our hitting coach there, Coach Davidson, he's put in a lot of work with me. Me and him just pick each other's brains and try to break down from a pitcher's spot, like what are they going to throw me, what should I be ready for. So that mental breakdown, that aspect, and then he's helped me get to where I'm at with form and what I need to work on, what I need to get better with. But at the end of the day, it was just baseball. So, I mean, I just trust what I've done and put the work in. If you put the time and effort into it, for me, it's just going out then and playing the game that I love so much.
After that 2019 season, how much did you, think that you were going to have a shot to get drafted?
I thought I had a decent chance. I mean, nothing's ever guaranteed. Going into that summer though with the Valley, I had some communications with some teams, but it wasn't like very in-depth like talks. So I was obviously like very not nervous, but like anxious of what was going to happen during draft day. It ended up not panning out, and no one picked me up. Which I mean, it gives me another chance to go back. Which I finished my degree this year, and then with COVID, it kind of delayed it. But I'm going back for a master's, so it's helping my from the education standpoint. I'm going to get a lot done, and I'll be ready for that next step in life when baseball is over with. But I hope to play baseball for a long time. So
You went in and you played in the Valley, did very well. What was your mentality after not being drafted and knowing that you had a summer in the Valley to play with the wood bat?
I just wanted to play. I just love playing the game and just having the opportunity to play at a high level with a bunch of great guys. I mean, every team you have your D1 to NAIA school team or guys, and it's just awesome to see where everyone comes from, learn about them, and just compete. Like at the end of the day, we're there to win and do really well and to hopefully get to that next level. So with a bunch of guys that are craving that great competition, is just enjoyable. Plus, I've never been to Virginia, and it was a great place for me to like actually learn about and stay and develop my gaming craft some more.
What made you choose the Valley?
I was designated there by our coach. He's kind of sent me on it. We had a guy the year before who was my roommate who went there and played in the Braves as well. And he told me all about it, how great it was. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Like you sold me, I'm ready to compete. Sign me up.
On a day-to-day basis, what was the competition like?
It was hard. It was every day you didn't know who you were going to face. There's no really scouting reports until you saw a guy or a team play and you played against them. Because we played, I mean, I think Charlottesville, we played 8 or 10 times. Like all those guys we got to know, be familiar with. So you got to develop like that scouting report later in the season. But in the beginning, it was just like, all right, let's see what you're made of. See if the little D2 guy or whoever can play. But the competition was unreal. It was every day you could tell that everyone was trying to eventually get to that next level. So that always feeling like you have to do good was just kind of on top of like put in the back as you were competing.
Mentioning that you're the little D2 guy, but you're not little by any means.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
6'6", 6'5", somewhere around
Yeah. 6'6".
that, 6'6", and
Yeah.
you play first base. What got you into baseball?
My dad got me into it. My dad and grandpa, they loved baseball, and he loved it growing up and played it. And he just kind of told me as a kid, like, if you want to be good, you just got to put your mind to it. And me and him worked all the time. He ended up buying a batting cage, putting in our backyard, and we just worked out all the time. Him throwing to me, him helping me out. I mean, as a kid, I hated it because it was my dad. He's trying to tell me what to do. And at the end of the day, when I look back onto it, it's just like, wow, like he maybe was right about some things. And then got to college, and that's when everything kind of laid itself forward, and I ended up learning how to actually compete and at a high level and play.
At any point in time as you were growing, did you think, well, maybe I should try playing basketball or maybe football?
Yeah, funny story. Basketball, I played in high school, but prior to that, in like 7th grade, I broke my hand. And at that point, all I was set on, I played basketball, baseball, football. And baseball was always like my love and passion. I knew at a young age, I just wanted to play college baseball. That was the goal. And I broke my hand a week before basketball tryouts in 8th grade. So 8th grade happened, and I was like, okay, I'm done for basketball. And then football freshman year was coming up, and I was like, I don't know if I can really injure my hand again. Like I need that for baseball season. I want to like compete and try to like go get a spot on a team, whatever level it was, freshman, JV, varsity. And I just ended up not playing football or basketball my freshman and sophomore year. I picked up golf instead in the fall because I just needed something to do and wanted to. My grandpa always told me I was a good golfer, so I tried. I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I just never got back into football because I was always scared of re-hurting my hand. But then my junior year, I went out for basketball again and played junior and senior year and loved it. I wish I would have played and not sat out, but.
But you're happy when it's all said and done that you decided to pursue baseball?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
And you still playing golf at all?
Oh yeah. That's that's the rehab project I've been working on the golf game and getting ready for this season. So
Looking back on your 2019 summer with Stanton, what are some of the memories that stand out to you?
first that comes to mind are the group of guys that we had and just this whole atmosphere of Stanton, Virginia. Um, like my host family was great. The guys were great. Coaches were great. Um, and it just, I don't know, it was just like an unreal environment for me going from the Prospect League the year before and living in Chillicothe, Ohio, and traveling all over the place where you travel 6 hours some nights, and then you go to the field and you play, and you stay in a hotel and you play a 3-game series. Compared to the Valley, which is just a maximum hour drive to that was about it. So it was totally different, but I liked that because it was more like I was rested, I was ready to go, and I could like get my ducks in a row before I went out there and performed at a high level. So
What are some of the things that you do to get your ducks in a row before a game?
it depends. It depends on a lot of things. Usually it's playing. Like my roommate I had was Ryan Smith, who went to he's now at Charleston. He had Tommy John, so me and him been in touch a little bit, talking about injuries and how we're getting back. But we had PS4s, so our big thing was playing MLB The Show and just playing baseball and getting at bats in that. And he'd throw to me in there, and it was just different because I just always invite people over. Let's go play MLB The Show. Let's see what's going on. So that was my main thing, playing video games.
Video games seem to be pretty popular around baseball players. I think
Yeah.
it's an easy way to get your mind off of the game and relax.
Yeah, it is. It still consumes me a lot. So
Well, moving through the season, you were an all-star. I know that that game didn't really get to be played because of weather, but what was it like to get that honor?
I mean, it was awesome. That's like the top guys in the Valley League, which is a really high and renowned like thing to achieve. So just being there and being selected to be in the home run derby and being selected to be on the all-star team, it was just awesome. I mean, the guys there I have no complaints about any of the people that I met. We ended up traveling for that prospect team too, so it was even better because mainly it was all the all-star guys. So competing against other leagues and meeting those guys from other leagues who I played against or known from our D2 conference, it just was awesome to just be experiencing all that.
How much do you think that the Valley helped elevate your profile as a baseball player?
I mean, obviously, it has a huge track record with pro guys that are in the league now. And I think it's just another thing to put on the resume that I did it really well at or competed against other guys, and I can hang with those guys. I can compete against those guys, even though they might be D1 and I go to a D2 school. Some people sometimes forget that there's that discrepancy, but they're baseball at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And at the end of the season, you played a couple playoff games with the Valley, and then you actually got a call up to the Cape. When you got that opportunity, what were some of the emotions that you went through?
I mean, it was a whirlwind. I mean, as a kid growing up, you hear about the stories about going to play in the Cape, going to compete at that level, and those guys are the guys. Those are the guys you want to be with. So when I was in contact with the guys from the Cape and Coach Roberts from Katuitt, it was kind of, I didn't know what was going on at the time. When I was on the phone with them, they were like, "We want you to come up and play." And then I think it finally hit me when I was on the drive up there. It was a 12-hour drive from Stanton to the Cape, and it just kind of like hit me. And I was just like, I'm actually going up there to like play. Like I dreamed of this as a kid, and now I finally get the chance to go. And it was just, I don't know. It was just for me. It was just like I had to like open my eyes a lot more and just soaked it all in. It was just, it still gives me goosebumps to this day, just thinking about it.
It's definitely one of those, well-known, widely renowned leagues, and everybody always
Yeah.
talks about going to the Cape, and you got to play 3 games. You got to play in the playoffs there as well.
Yep.
What was the level of competition like there versus, what you were seeing in the Valley?
It's just more of, I think, knowing, like up in the Cape, it was more of, okay, this guy, he goes to this school and he's going to be drafted. He knows that he's already going to be drafted in this round. He's receiving that money, or he's going to receive that money. That was like a huge difference. I feel like those guys up there had like they were not more mature, but they like know what their worth was to a ball club. So just seeing that was kind of, and plus they pride themselves, not saying any more than anyone else, but they lived baseball. or anything that I like to do, they get up early, they go hit, they go work out, then they go play. Like that's at the end of the day, that's the goal for me. So seeing that and what I've been doing and talking with them and meeting new people is just all coming together. Like, okay, I am doing the right things. I'm doing what they're doing, but they have a chance to go and play because they've been there longer than me. So, but at the end of the day, I still got there, and to me, that's just as important as as getting there. So,
When you left Stanton, you guys had just swept Waynesboro, a team that beat you every single time they faced you during the
yeah,
regular season. And then you come and you sweep them,
yeah.
upset them in a huge way as a number one seed. What were you guys thinking during that series? How did you approach those games?
I think that was most definitely the best baseball we played all year in terms against them. I know prior to that, the past couple meetings, we would be leading late and then something would happen or a crucial mistake would happen and just kind of slipped away and they took advantage of it. Going into it, we knew we had them beat most of the times, or if not, we were 50-50 in the series, but the results weren't there with the win. But going into that series, I think we had the least amount of pressure put on ourselves. We just knew we were going to go in and let's just have fun while we're here and let's see how long we can go. And it just so happened that I had another chance to go to the Cape and leave, which was personally, it sucked the life out of me because I didn't want to go because I wanted to compete and stay. And we ended up going to the championship and losing. But I mean, the guys, we all knew what we wanted to do. And our goal was when we made the playoffs was, all right, we're here. We might as well just win the whole thing.
I mean, you talked about how great a group of guys they were. I mean, what does it say for a team that at that point they were left with 10 players, 5 of them were
Yeah.
pitchers, to be
Yeah.
able to take it all the way to the championship game?
I mean, they were just a bunch of gritty guys that just, at the end of the day, they just wanted to win. I mean, they competed their butts off. I know a lot of our pitchers, they were ending at the end of the year, they all were up coach's butt about getting on the field and like trying to play in that last Percival series. And we had pitchers that wanted to take ABs while infielders wanted to pitch or whatever it may have been. And then finally, there was their chance to perform. And I know we had like a couple of guys that had to play the field and they played it growing up, but they just finally were like, all right, well, got a chance to play. Might as well do something crazy. And I mean, I still remember the day when they called me, when a couple of guys called me that were still left and they were telling me about how the games went. They were like, yeah, we won. I'm like, how did you guys pull this off? But it was just funny because, I mean, at the end of the day, the pitchers and the fielders, we all give each other crap all the time. So finally, like, to let them see it and then getting that bat and then them face the guys that we've been facing all year, they're kind of like, oh, okay, no wonder why you guys got out all the time or something like that. It was just funny to see the roles reversed.
Saying everything kind of gets back to some sort of normalcy in the next year and you're able to get a full season at Walsh, you know, what is kind of your perfect scenario after school ends?
After school ends, my first priority and goal would be trying to play at that next level. So somewhere finding a contract, either in the minor league affiliate or some type of independent ball team. If it happens and I don't get the opportunity to go on to that next level, and then I would just find a job with my degree in teaching in a local school around there in Canton area or preferably in Cleveland. Or somewhere else, and that's where I would just start my coaching and teaching career. So, but that's the second option. We're hoping for the first one.
Obviously, once your playing career is over, then you want to become a coach.
Yes. Yep.
And what level you said you want to start at high school? But
yeah,
you have the desire to go on college, maybe professional?
Yeah, I definitely like that high level, that competition of baseball and how there's so many sides to it where the development's there and that training and whatnot. So for me, I've thought about it and maybe possibly going to GA and finishing my master's because I'm starting my master's this coming up fall. And then I will be like halfway done with it. So I'll have another year, 2 if I'd really delay it, long it, or add something to it. But yeah, I've definitely thought about going GA, being a GA, or staying at Walsh and becoming a GA. But at the end of the day, I just don't know what decision I can make because both I will never be mad about if I was going to move on to college level or high school. It just kind of, I'll just see what happens and what opportunities are there for me.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for talking with us, catching us up on what you've been doing this past year. I'm glad to hear that the rehab has gone well and you're pretty much ready to go for next season.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.